Welcome into Celtics Late Night. My name is Ben Vallis. Alongside me, Wayne Spooney and Jake Eisenberg. And oh boy, this game came and went. Joe pulled the starters less than halfway through the third. I also came and went in the middle of the game. Spooney, Jake, how's it going?
Man, this is living, huh? This is living. I didn't see this one coming. Got to be honest. KP was out, and I was like, yeah, this is gonna suck. This is gonna be Draymond coming in all over us. And the Celtics, man, this is huge. This is big time, man. Like, this is like a serious, like, we're different. Jaylen, Jason, we've matured. This team, Drew Holiday, Tillman, these guys, this is a different team. We're not letting you come into our house, best home record in the NBA, and punk us. We're embarrassing you. Maybe the worst loss of anyone that's had on national TV this year. Even more impressive than the Celtics loss on national TV. This is a ridiculous game.
Dude, 140 to 88. Gentlemen, let me just lay this out. It was 70 degrees here in Morgantown today. My wife let me play my first round of golf of the year. Okay. And then I come home and I watch this game. Like, this has been a Sunday to remember, fellas. And like, dude, 140 to 88. I checked. So I usually start the games late and catch up. And when I checked the score, it was like 80 to 35 or something like that. I'm like, what is going on? This can't be right. Oh, it was right. And it was so fun.
But you check the scores and then watch? You can't
accidentally.
Oh, okay.
Often,
okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I did not mean to. Because when I click YouTube TV, sometimes I hit join live accidentally instead of play for beginning, and then I see it. But I still watch. Dude, when it's a score like that, you got to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, spoilers are great when you know that it's a good thing. It's when it's bad, you're like, do I do it?
My boss for my real life actual job is a Warriors fan and messaged me at halftime and he was like, no spoilers, I'm about to start watching the game. And I was like, it's good, it's good, have fun. And he messaged me later and was like, damn you're fired. Not really,
Hell
but
yeah.
140 to 88. The Celtics are now 48 and 12, which is ridiculous. An 11-game win streak there, plus 243 during that 11-game winning streak. And just a note to the listeners here, it's the Celtics Late Night. We're going to continue with the formatless format, systemless basketball style podcast. But the vibes are so immaculate that we are going to chuck this up on the podcast feed as well for all the audio.
I love it. Ben's like, we're chill, we're having a good time, no plan. It's all, I love having no plan. It's awesome.
Anyway, let's get into the first segment.
Yeah, quick. And now, regimented. Let's go. Yeah, look, I mean, we could start with some initial points just to like get us going here, but obviously Kristaps Porzingis out in this one. He was out for the only other Warriors game this season, so immediately thinking, okay, shit, like I'd love to see Latvian Moses, the Bear Slayer, get some rest, but also a little anxious because we kind of needed him last time. The Warriors had no Wiggins or Podziemski. High-stakes game. Boston trying to exercise some long-held demons. The Warriors trying to prove they can go toe-to-toe with a contender, Spooney. And they couldn't. They could not go toe-to-toe with a contender after all.
So, dude, you could tell the Celtics wanted this game. Like, they came out flying from the word go. From the tip until they got yanked in the middle of the third quarter. Those dudes were playing so hard. They were rebounding the shit out of the basketball. And
definitely from the tip.
Gentlemen, which vintage of Jays did you prefer today?
Oh,
because,
man.
Oh, boy.
They were both so friggin' good. And I think, like, Jaylen was incredible, 19, I think, in that first quarter. But, like, his defense on Steph was awesome. Like, he got shook once or, a few times, but that's what Steph does. And I think Steph had 4 points. So, like, I can't pick between them. We don't have to pick between them. But it was just, like, the perfect version of both of them again in this game, it felt like.
I think you got to go JB. Like, Tatum was great. Some of his defense was awesome too. I'm sure we'll talk about him. But Jaylen Brown, I mean, he was the catalyst, it felt like. And he, in particular, this season has been playing with an edge in a way that he hasn't in the past. Like, he has been willing to take some of these narratives head on. And I think part of that maybe is him signing that max contract, supermax contract, the left-hand shit after the Miami series, the Warriors winning the finals. He was like, I'm taking it head on. We remember. and he's been the first quarter guy, but like this was a whole nother level today. And picking Steph up full court, kind of from the jump, reminded me of like the Sixers series, but from the jump, not game 2, from the tip. As soon as the tip was in, it was on.
The tip was in. It was great.
It was not for very long for me.
No. The best moment, the best stretch in this game for me was in that first quarter involving Jaylen Brown, where for some reason the Warriors decided, let's leave all-star, max salary Jaylen Brown open from beyond the arc and just dare him to shoot. And I don't know how many exactly threes Jaylen Brown put up in the first, but it was so clear once he was like, oh, that's what you're doing. Yeah. He was like jacking them up in transition, like just threes, like a barrage of threes from literally everywhere. And he finished the first quarter with 19 points. He's chirping it at Draymond Green. Joe Mazzulla said after the game on the Warriors, quote, like defensive tactic on Jaylen Brown, quote, we were really grateful for that. Jaylen handled it great. Which I think is pretty accurate.
Yeah, dude. He took 9 threes in the first quarter, so he was absolutely
I didn't even realize.
He only took 10 for the game, too. And I thought, like, his physicality, too, like, not so much in the first quarter, but after that, there was a couple times where it didn't matter what of these, like, undersized Warriors defenders, Gary Payton the second, like, Steph, Clay, everybody was getting it, dude, from everyone. Like, this team, I've never seen them play with that amount of like force and just like nastiness. It was like 04 Pistons shit.
What are they doing, dude? What was,
I don't know.
Whose idea was this?
It's a bizarre choice.
Like, I was trying to think about it. Like, I try and like reverse engineer this. Like, why would they think that? Because like technically, I guess of the starting lineup, Jaylen is the worst shooter. Like, I mean, Drew's at 60% on the corners and 44 on the season. Derek White's over 40%. Al's over 40%. And on catch and shoots, Tatum's at over 40 as well. And then, like, when he's wide open, you don't want to let him get going. So I'm like, okay, we help off Jaylen, but where they've had success against Jaylen and where he's had issues, like historically, has been with ball pressure. Like when specifically against this team and Draymond in particular. So like, why would you do something so radical, especially for a team like the Warriors that they need every win, dude? Like they're in the 9th seed. Like they need to get to at least the 8 so they don't like on just sudden death, and they're out. But like for them to come out and do that was absurd. And I have the clip from Draymond here. When he got asked about, I just hate this guy. I'm so happy we kicked the shit out of him. But here's the Draymond clip being asked about it.
His first quarter strategy was to kind of have you sag off Jaylen and try to clog the paint. Didn't necessarily seem
it worked. He just made the shots, so it's okay.
Yeah. So
it
like
worked.
Such bullshit.
Yeah. What just an insane response, first of all. But like I guess trying to look at it through the lens of the Warriors, Jaylen Brown, this has been proven, is like the most like get in your own mind, get in your own head player on the team. So if you're gonna try and play like mental gymnastics with someone on the Celtics, you probably try and go at Jaylen Brown with that. It's just like the mental gymnastics weren't very good. Just let's leave an all-star open from beyond the arc and dare him to shoot threes. Like, he's a fucking NBA player. There's a short list of guys who aren't going to be like, oh, okay, open threes. All right, cash money all night. And that's exactly what it was. So just a bad approach and surprisingly bad from, a team with this kind of pedigree in the case of the Golden State Warriors. Shocking.
And like, dude, Jaylen is that dude that like if he gets like 2 to go down early, he's about to go absolutely off. So it's like once you see 2 go in, it's like then you should probably guard him, and they still didn't. Yeah, it doesn't. I'm like kind of shocked he wasn't just like, we just blew the coverages or something like that. Like saying it's intentional makes you look worse, right?
The level of delusion that this man has, I'm just on so many levels, dude. Like every time I see a video from him about like his own podcast or whatever, like even his 45-minute long apology that he gave after assaulting multiple people in NBA games this past season. It's like he apologized, but you could tell that he like believes that he is being unfairly treated in some way, and that he didn't believe that he should be punished. It's like I respect it. I wish I could be so delusional myself, and because maybe my life would be like more straightforward. But like I have too much self-awareness to believe stuff like that.
Yeah, even a shred of self-awareness is going to get you away from that kind of mentality. But yeah, please, Draymond, just fade away into irrelevancy, if there is such a word. It's time. Most of the clips that we have for tonight are based around that strategy. It's just because it was so mind-boggling. Here's Steve Kerr answering questions about the decision to go with that strategy post-game.
I mean, I don't think any strategic, tweak would have won you the game, but you guys really sagged off Brown early. I think he had 19, right away. I mean, was that part of the game plan?
You try different things. You have to pick your matchups. We wanted Draymond to be able to help on drives and make sure that we weren't giving up easy stuff in the paint. The killer was the transition from the beginning all the way till the end. They got 42 transition points, so you're not winning a game, with that kind of defensive or lack of defensive awareness.
Just own it, man. Just own it. Like, you fucked up.
Oops. Insane choice, dude. Like, I love Jaylen, man. Like, you could tell he was unsure of what was happening at first. And, like, he was like, am I this open? Is this on purpose? Have they made a mistake? What is going on? And then it took him a few possessions to figure it out. And they just came out of one timeout. And it was like, oh, yeah, okay, it's time. And actually, I have from the playback. If you guys aren't in the playback, Celtics blog playback room, playback.tv/Celtics blog, watch Celtics games with us. Like, it's so much fun. And today in particular, 7:30 a.m. game for me and Ben, and it's just all gas, no break, straight into it. So here's 38 seconds of Jaylen Brown doing awesome stuff.
Man, Derek is just busting his balls trying to stay with Curry here.
Ooh, again. Oh my God. Oh my God. You should probably change up your coverage, Draymond.
Let's go.
Yeah, call a timeout.
Fuck you, Draymond.
Shots.
Yeah, I think that's good. Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, that's why you have
on.
Oh,
Boston
my God.
Celtics.
Oh, my God.
Come on, JB.
Dude,
forgot to
I love
resize
that.
the second half there.
That's cool.
So it's 21-21, and then Jaylen Brown hits 3 straight threes. It's just like, this guy's a fire-breathing dragon, dude. What are they doing? They just invited the lion, like, lying down and like lathered themselves in antelope juice, and Jaylen Brown just tore them apart.
Everybody knows antelope's dragon's favorite snack. Yeah.
What about Jaylen Brown forcing the backcourt violation on Steph as well towards
good.
This is a little later in the game, but it's just to say that he didn't let up. This is like late in the second quarter and forces Steph Curry. By the way, I refuse to acknowledge his knee bursitis. We beat him fair and square. I don't want to hear anything about him being, he did it anyway. He came into Boston. He shat the bed. The Celtics won. Boston Celtics, as you said during the playback stream there, which I thought was an elite celebration. Just Boston Celtics as they go up by a million. That was awesome.
Many people are saying this. The Boston Celtics, dude. Like, this is a big deal, man. Like, it's like, of all the demons left, right? Like, we're 3-0 against Miami this year. We had that Warriors game in Golden State. Obviously no KP, but there was no Draymond too. You blow an 18-point lead in the fourth quarter. You go to overtime. Everyone's doing the crunch time, Zapruder film of everything. And it feels like the year before when they're 21-5 and they lose to the Warriors after the year after losing the finals, and they go in a tailspin really for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And from that moment, losing that game in Golden State this year, it's been the opposite. Anytime anything has popped up, they've completely just responded by being utterly dominant. So now they've won 11 in a row. I infamously, in small, very hyper niche Twitter circles, tweeted out we could be looking at a 14-game winning streak after we beat the Pacers and the Pelicans going into the Lakers game without Anthony Davis and LeBron James. And
So close.
if they had won that game, we would literally we'd be at 14 now. So that's insane. and to do it against these guys like that, oh man, it feels so good.
Dude, when is like the last time, like how many times the 2 years previously were we just like, oh man, they just didn't show up mentally for this game? Like even that Lakers game, that was just kind of like crazy shooting luck for Austin Reeves and company, and we couldn't get anything to go. I mean, they weren't there 100%.
9 turnovers in the first quarter. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Never mind. I take it back. So that was the last time.
Yeah.
But it just seems like all of these like check marks along the way, they're just like hitting them, dude. And do you remember when we were talking about at the end of January, we're like, we know they're not playing their best basketball, but they're finding ways to win. But we need to see a prolonged streak where they're playing their best basketball. And then they rip off the best plus minus in an 11-game winning streak ever. Like this, dude, I don't know how you could play much better basketball than how they've been playing recently. And they didn't even have KP today, you know? Like, yeah, like the Jays just like, they're so mature in their approach on both sides of the ball really now. Like, I just love how Tatum is just taking what the defense gives him every single time down. Like he's not forcing anything. One of those highlights, he hits Xavier Tillman in the short roll, like immediately, no hesitation. And then the ball swing. And then it's back to Tatum, pump fake, drive to the rim, easy two, instead of taking a semi-contested three. It's like, this is what we've always wanted from these dudes, man. And like, the Warriors looked fucking helpless against them. Yeah. Like they were like grasping at straws. Like they couldn't stay with them. And it didn't matter who they threw. They tried to put Dario Saric on Jason Tatum. That was how bad it got.
Another bad decision. Yeah, Steve Kerr, he mentioned like the disparity in transition play during that post-game interview we just ran. This is per Cleaning the Glass. Celtics, 180 points per play in transition on high frequency. The Warriors, 80 points per play. Good for 100 less in points per play in transition against the Celtics in this game. So Kerr, his analytics team are on point there. They brought the numbers to him. They are accurate. They got fucking destroyed in transition. But before we like fully move on from the Jaylen thing, we do have Jaylen Brown talking post-game about how he felt disrespected by that strategy from the Warriors.
When they just sagged off you for the start of the first quarter, just let you shoot. Did you think they were playing mind games with you? Like, what goes through your head when a team does that to you?
First time it's ever happened to me. Honestly, I was a bit surprised. Took a little bit of adjusting, but I think we just took advantage of whatever that attempt was and just made the best of it. For the most part, my job is to get to the paint. We got enough three-point shooters on our team. So, I don't take a lot of threes or for the most part throughout the season because we got enough of that. I get to the paint, and I usually open it up for everybody else. But if you want to dare me to shoot, we can do that too. You know what I mean? I thought it was a little disrespectful, but, we took advantage of it and we didn't look back.
Do you take that personally? It looked like you were exchanging some words with Draymond Green.
It's never personal. I'm sure they thought that's what their best chance was, or whoever came up with that defensive kind of concept. So it's not personal. It was a little disrespectful to me. It is what it is. I came out and I do what I do best. My teammates empowered me. It was like, you know what, like, we don't care if you shoot every shot down.
I love that last bit where like his teammates are like, yeah, dude, like, go for it. Shoot all the shots.
Yeah, dude, the belief, so much of that I loved. Like, the end is obviously, like, the fact that everybody was like, yeah, man, if you're going to be open, you're Jaylen Brown. We believe in, and that's what you can tell about this team right now. Everybody's empowered. Everybody has the trust of the team. Drew Holiday fading in the corner against the Mavs. Like, people are just, like, feeling so confident across the board. And then again, like, Jaylen, his 3-point attempts are down. Like, what is he taking? I think it's like 4 or 5 attempts a game, which is like nothing really in today's NBA for a guy like that. And for good reason, dude. He's been just a monster in the paint, a monster in the mid-post, the fadeaways. I mean, dude, he looks like fucking Michael Jordan every night. Anytime he gets like anywhere like the free throw line and in, and he hits a fadeaway, I'm like, that's in, dude. That's probably like the most confident shot on the team right now. And when that goes up, I think that's going in. And I have one. I wanted off Spoonie's point before, but if anyone wants to say anything else about Jaylen, go for it.
Just the gassing up the crowd after the forcing the backcourt violation by Steph Curry, and immediately starts just like clapping right behind him. Like Curry can hear that. I'm sure he's screaming as well, and just like the primal screaming into the crowd, getting everyone going. I'm in my house alone. You said 7:30 a.m., Jake, just like fucking screaming on my couch. There's like people walking past my house to the train station to work, and there's this like almost 40-year-old man in his house alone just screaming at what's going on. Like Jaylen Brown just had me going. Yeah, it was awesome, and I won't apologize for it. I had a great time.
Hell yeah, dude. Oh, man. Yeah, this is the best. But so Spoonie said something about like this team maturing, like making the right play. And there was one play that really stuck out to me about the growth of this team and like the parallels to the 2022 finals team. And Tatum, they had an awesome defensive possession. Tatum got a steal, and it was Tatum versus Draymond 1v1 in transition. And he just pulled it out.
Yeah,
he considered attacking. And ended up getting to a Horford post up, which he missed, but it was like a mismatch. And like I saw someone in the chat just before. Firstly, shout out the chat. You guys are legends. 165. Fucking hit that like button, dude. Like it takes you 5 seconds. This is awesome. But like 1.35 points per possession for Horford. He's been really good in the post, and I feel like he's been looking for that more too now. But Tatum, like, there's this one play in the 22 finals of Tatum on a fast break, and I think it may have been in game 6, and Tatum just attacks Draymond like this like weak Euro, tries to put up this left-handed layup, and like it's just pathetic. It's a pathetic attempt against Draymond in transition. Part of that, I think, obviously we've covered it. Tatum exhausted physically and mentally, but Draymond might be one of the greatest transition defenders of all time, one of the greatest defenders of all time anyway, but specifically in transition, he's so smart. He's so intuitive, like his instincts on like how to play that kind of stuff. And Tatum, like, I love him, not his strength, one like in transition, like against a good defender like that. And for him to just like to probe and pull out and find like a really high quality shot. Like this team is just so purposeful, just really like not wasting possessions. It's elite stuff.
Jaylen Brown just quote tweeted the clip of Steve Kerr that we just played and said more teams should take this strategy. He literally just tweeted that out.
He's pissed. I absolutely love it, man. Talk your shit, Jaylen. That's the best.
Hell
yes.
But dude, and it's like, okay, we have a poor defender. I guess we'll hide him on Al Horford, and then Al Horford's taking like a 3-dribble post up, putting you into the basket and laying it in. It's like, what do? Like, you basically have to play 5 elite defenders to stop this team because they're so surgical now that, like, if you have one guy who's below average, they're going to figure out the absolute best way to attack that dude, whether it's in the post, whether it's like pin downs, stuff like that, off ball stuff, or whether it's putting him in the high pick and roll with Jason Tatum. And one of like Tillman looked pretty solid again today too. Like he's like just a smart, good basketball player, and then KP and Al's obviously great in the high pick and roll with JT. So, and shout out to Joe, dude. Like I thought this was like obviously it looks good when you get the shot variance in your way like this, but I thought the way we attacked Golden State early and often, and the way we were playing defense, like Joe is just fucking really good at coaching now all of a sudden, man. And it's like working really well. He's got it all solved. Like we were throwing switch everything at him, and then we were, playing drop. I mean, it was a great performance from the coach too, man. Like, and it helps when you shoot 50% from 3, but dude, I'm just so hyped. I don't know. Did that even make sense?
No, it did. Where do you want to go from there, Ben? He gave you any direction. Let's go.
So many places I want to go. This is what is so good about the formatless format of Celtics late night. Like this Celtics team, right, have been they've had such a good 3-point offense. That's the way that they've generated their best version of their offense is generating good looks from 3 and then hitting them at a high rate. Now, hopefully and usually via paint touches and kickouts and things like that. You could say that they've been elite at generating offense via those means. And great teams might have 1 or 2 like pretty good play styles they can go to mix it up and generate offense. The Celtics have a really good post game, like borderline elite post game as well, or at the very least, they've got multiple
elite.
individuals operating at an elite level from the post as well. So, like, a very good, decent team with a chance to win the title could be as good as the Celtics have been from three the last few years, and be kind of good at several other offensive play styles, and always be within a good chance to win the title. The Celtics are elite at generating three-point looks. They're now elite at generating offense from the post as well, which is just a ridiculously unfair. I was saying before we went live, I used the word hedonistic, like, form of basketball. It's just like ridiculous, where you're just like strolling through the fruit fields, just pulling fruit, beautiful, ripe, juicy fruit off all of the trees, and just juicing it in the world's most technologically sound blender, and just like drinking it, and the juices are dripping down your chin. It's a beautiful thing, and we're all here for it. And I love it. I love this team.
Oh man, was
that a good place to take it?
Yeah, absolutely. I was definitely picturing a very minimally clothed Ben running through the orchard.
That's pretty much it.
Maybe just like a loincloth on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is like the Adam and Eve, but the Celtics version of like in the beginning. This is what it was supposed to be like. This is what the Lord intended.
In the beginning.
In the beginning.
There were two J's.
Two J's. A beautiful, bald Derek White. Oh, man.
Where do we go from here?
This is a good question from the chat here. I mean, this is a tricky one. 60 games versus 60 games. Is this team better than the 08 squad? I wasn't locked in like I am today on the set. Like I was, we didn't have access to the Celtics like we do today. So it's hard for me to really compare. It's hard for me to go this team still just because they didn't win the title. But like, as you said, 60 games versus 60 games. How many games did that 08 team? We were 66, right?
Yeah, they were 48-12.
Yeah, well, we're on pace for 65.6 wins after today. So we're I mean, as far as how they're playing, before the All-Star, I feel when we talked about it, the question was like, can this team go to another level? And we were like, maybe they can get better, but can they get to another level? I mean, they've been on another level coming back from the All-Star break. On this 11 game winning streak, they're beating opponents by 19 points coming into today, and that is won by 50.
Sounds fake.
What is going on, dude?
I think they're pretty much like after the last win, we had the exact same record as the 08 team at the same juncture in the season. Like they had both at one point been 47-12 or whatever we were. I don't know if they won the next game.
48-12.
Right. Okay. So we're right there with them essentially.
Mm-hmm.
The main difference being like our two major All-Stars, we've drafted them, like we've watched them quote unquote grow up. Like it's a different approach. It's a different journey to that 08 team in terms of how organically the team has sort of come together. Similar but different, and arguably more enjoyable, especially with all the accompanying technology, like you touched on, Jake, that we have nowadays.
I think there were more question marks about the 08 team that we ignore now because they did end up winning the title. Like, people were like really concerned about Rondo at times because he was, second year point guard on this loaded team and kind of a mercurial dude. But that team, they're like flipped almost. Like that team was not a great offensive team, really, honestly. I mean, they were fine. They were good enough, but they were like worlds better than the next best team defensively. And it seems like this team is a better defense than the 08 team was offensive. But this offense is equivalent to, I think, that 08 team's defense. So, it's hard to say because KG was, MVP caliber guy, but I guess Tatum is too at this point.
I know, right? Like,
he's
tough,
right there.
dude.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'll say that. I'm getting there.
Is it okay just to say one of them is happening now and one of them happened a long time ago, and the thing that's happening now in the literal present day is way more fun and something we should focus on more? Am I being like a simpleton saying that?
No, I think that's fair, Ben. Look, whatever way you want to enjoy this beautiful experience, I think is how you should enjoy it. Like, just listen to your heart, tune in to what your mind, body, and soul is telling you, and
I'm
just go from there. And so I will say on the defense, like as of today, we have moved into number 2 defensively.
Wow.
Defensive rating on NBA.com here, and so like net rating up to 11.6 on NBA.com.
So, Are we
which is
1
nuts.
and 2 now? Number 1 offense, number 2
Correct.
defense. Well, I hear that's good.
A full
pretty solid.
1.4 ahead of the Pacers, which in offense, and then we're a pretty good gap behind the T-Wolves. So I don't know if we'll catch them defensively, but like to move now into 1 and 2 is nutty, obviously, and so I'd like you can't really construct a better team like right now, like regular season, unless you go to a place where we're talking KD Warriors. Even the Warriors team that lost the finals, like they 73-9, but like we're getting towards like now, like we're on pace for 65, 66 wins, but like we're going to end up getting to 67, 68. Like, I don't know if we're going to lose many games. I don't know how we lose these games. Like the Nuggets game, I don't know. I don't know.
We miss a bunch of three. I think, we're going to have a couple of those like where we go like 7 for 40 or something from 3, and we'll probably lose one of those. But the 08 team was plus 10.8 net rating and 2.5 points per 100 better than the next best defensive team. So, it's pretty similar profiles when you look at it like that, dude. But yeah, I mean, this team just has no friggin' weaknesses. And now with Tillman coming in and like Luke's playing,
Tillman.
Luke was solid,
Tillman.
dude. Yeah, all right, let's do Tillman.
Well, wait, hang on a second. Before we get to Tillman, we should get to a quick word from our sponsor.
Okay,
Before we do that, just to
Good
say we've got almost 200 people in here, which is a record for this channel in terms of concurrent live audience members. So shout out to everyone in the chat. We love hanging out with you guys, reading your comments. It's like the ultimate indulgent form of post-game hangs is to like do this, the three of us, but also read your comments coming in as well. While you're here, subscribe to the First of the Floor YouTube channel. We just hit 3K subscribers a couple of weeks ago. We're gunning for 5K now, hoping to get there midway through the playoffs if we're lucky. Hit that like button as well, because that algorithmically puts this show in front of more people and helps us get a bigger audience. With a bigger audience, get bigger guests. I hear that Brian Scalabrine, guys, I don't know if I've ever told you this, doesn't get out of bed for less than 20,000 subs. So help us get to that mark. We can get Scal on the show and keep the good times rolling. So before we get on to the more amazing, awesome aspects of this game and in this team, including but not limited to Xavier Tillman, here's a quick word from our sponsor.
Football season may be over, but the action on the floor is heating up. Whether it's a tournament season or the fight for a playoff home court, there's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of year. Get in on the excitement with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you could turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. Testing my skills on Prize Picks this season is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $1,000 with just a few taps. Prize Picks is really simple to play, and I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. Download the app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Use the code CLNS for the first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Here is the Jaylen Brown tweet, by the way, which is kind of getting cut off by our border here, but more teams should take this strategy. Love to see it in the locker room, just like firing off zingers from the locker room on his phone there. Xavier Tillman, Jake, I think we should go there, and we'll keep bouncing around because there's so much more to get to, but let's go with Xavier Tillman because he has had that sort of uptick in minutes in the last 2 games, so it's definitely worth discussing.
So we saw it today. He played both with Al and he played as the lone big, and we love Horford. He still has the ability to switch with honestly still one of the best switch bigs in the league, still, which is absurd. I think Tillman might have him beat as far as like the ability to stick with some of these smaller guards right now. I got a couple of clips here. Let's hope I cropped it. It's always tricky after the game when we do late night, but here we go. Tillman sticking with CP here, just no chance. And mate, honestly, Hauser helped. Didn't need to help at all. But then this one here, he takes, I can't say this guy's name very well, but he takes him easily. And it's just like the way that he's able to move his feet with some of these smaller guys, he just adds a level of versatility that they didn't have before. You can go double bigs with him, KP or Al, or I think you really can lean into switchability with him at the 5, and you save Al in some other spots, especially down the stretch in the regular season. But dude, he's good. He's really good defensively. He fights everywhere. He's on the boards. He had a really couple of really nice plays on offense. Like, had one play, like a little handoff game with Tatum, where Tatum was coming around for a handoff, and then Tatum read that the guy was overplaying it, came back, and Tillman, like, they had great chemistry on that, like, little play. It's like, man, he has the IQ on the short roll. He found a guy in the wing, I forget who it was, turned into a 3. Brad did it again, man. Like, I love Cornette, but, like, I think it's pretty clear that what Tillman gives you defensively, like, and then, dude, he's a tank. Like, he's a thick
monster.
boy. He's a monster, dude. Like, I think when you talk about matchups with Giannis and potentially Embiid, like, I think he's going to be really, really valuable. I know everybody really liked him coming out of Michigan. I know it was kind of more of an injury thing, which is why he dropped a little bit. But yeah, now, I mean, like, in this role, right, he can just come out there and just be a beast. And, man, like, how did this team get better at the deadline? And you add this dude that, okay, now we have this, like, little secret weapon on defense who also is, like, a really smart, versatile, high IQ offensive player at the same time for Lamar Stevens in a second-round pick. It's kind of ridiculous.
Dude, and he doesn't even know what he's doing yet. Like, you can see him, like, a little confused on the defensive schemes, and offensively, he seems a little hesitant about should he be the guy setting the screen. And that's fine. He's so high IQ that he, like, is making it work anyway. But once he gets, like, bedded into the team and really understands what we're doing, it's like, it's only going to go up from here, and he's already such a positive impact player. I love his screens too, dude. Like, fuck getting screened by that dude. Like, so bad, man. So I'm really impressed. And, like, I think we were all pretty high on the acquisition at the time, and, like, that dude it's really easy to play with high IQ basketball players, and, like, everyone on this team, bar maybe a few, are at least above average IQ guys at this point. And I think the Jays have done a really good job. It's hard to, like, train your b-ball IQ. It's kind of innate in a lot of ways, but they've gotten both way better at it. And you saw it on that handoff play. They both, Tillman and Tatum, just read it perfectly. So I'm excited, man. I'm pumped for Tillman.
Oh, yeah. Those screens, like you said, it's like trying to sprint through a meat locker or something. Just bodies everywhere. But I was stoked, kind of, from a vibes perspective, to see Cornette get the first big off the bench call up in this one, and then for him to come out and still be quite effective. Not that there was an ineffective member of the Celtics in this game, but, like, Luke was solid in drop, which he's really, really evolved with his drop defense. Like, he's kind of as good a drop defender big on the Celtics as any of our other bigs, really, when you think about it. And then for Tillman to just come in certain situations and apply that switch defense and set his meaty screens and just flash the versatility there, where if the Warriors or whatever future opponent are getting used to what we show in drop with KP and Luke, suddenly Al and Tillman come in, and it's just a completely different look, and they're amazing at that kind of defense, and it's a lot of fun. So, again, vibes.
Yeah. Like,
sorry.
like one of the questions or criticisms of the team, I think, coming into the season was, like, depth. And we were confident in Pritchard and Hauser and Al coming off the bench as your, 6, 7, 8. And I've always been someone who's been confident in Luke as a third big. Like, I didn't think they really needed to go out and get another guy, big guy at the deadline. But now you do bring in Tillman, who, I mean, everything we just talked about, like, clearly is a great fit and is someone that's been underrated. And you chuck him onto a team like the Celtics, it just, like, gives them a boost in a variety of ways. And the way that, like, Pritchard's playing, this was his best game. It's maybe one of his best games ever. Like, on both ends, he was, like, everywhere defensively. Had an awesome steal. Him and Drew, like, did a switch, and then like, Kuminga, like, slipped a screen, and Pritchard got back and made the steal. And he gets to loose balls all the time. There was a rebound where he sprinted to the sideline in between two Warriors guys. First guy to the ball, hits a big transition 3 for a 2-for-1. Like, he's really good, dude. He's just good. He's a good player. I think, Pat Bev said it best, like, 2 days ago in his top 5 most underrated players. I was very surprised to hear Patrick Beverley name Payton Pritchard, but I think he's right. And he's been really impactful and really solid. And the way that he's like kind of been attacking the rim a little bit lately too. Like, today, got to the rim using both hands. I really like what I'm seeing from Pritchard right now.
Was Isaiah Thomas just Payton Pritchard with the green light, Spoonie?
Yeah, I think so. Probably. Yeah, we should give it to PP. Let him cook, baby. He'll win an MVP. All NBA Payton Pritchard. But yeah, dude, I think the Pritchard, I think, has finally realized how like strong he is, because he's a little like meaty. He's like a little Tillman in a lot of ways. With like he's just got like that bulky base and like those big shoulders, and like he gets to the rim and he just kind of like puts the shoulder and the forearm into guys, and then sort of like decelerates and goes straight up with it, and the defender's like flying backwards. So that adding that to his game, along with his like, dude, he's like flirting with a 5 assist to turnover ratio this year.
Yeah.
Like I think it's down to 4.5 now, but he's just such a more impactful offensive player. And then defensively, he's always been like scrappy, but he's just on another level. Like his foot speed is nuts now, dude. Like I don't know if he got quicker or if he's just understanding the game better so he can employ it better. But like he's been sticking with everybody. He did okay on Luka a few possessions too. Like he's like, I don't know where this is going, but I know Pritchard's gonna wring out like every morsel of his potential because he's that psychotic. Yeah.
Have we talked about Jason Tatum enough? I feel like we've sort of danced around that. Like the team approach to the game was great. Jaylen Brown, I think it was 21-21 at some point in the game, and then they went on a massive run. At one point, when I checked Twitter, that run, once Jaylen realized the defensive strategy from the Warriors, the run was first clocked at 22-1. And that 1 point came from a defensive 3-second violation from the Celtics. They finished the first half 82-38. Then neither Curry or Clay or Draymond came back in the second half. Probably a good call for their aging superstars there from Steve Kerr's perspective. But then Jason Tatum in this game posting up pretty much everybody and succeeding. Like he was posting up bigs, but in particularly feasting on their smalls. Posted up Steph Curry. Steph Curry super angry that the help didn't come on one JT bucket, starts clapping, getting annoyed at his teammates, which from a Schadenfreude standpoint you'll have to see. Starts hitting his pull-up 3. He's grabbing like aggressive rebounds and making sure we get out in transition with pace, passing the ball as we've come to know and love in this recent stretch post All-Star break. He didn't play a lot of the second half, neither did any of the starters, Jake, but like we have to give him his flowers, right? Because to that point, he was insanely great in this game.
Yes, it's an absurd game. It's absurd game. 27, 3, 5, 1 steal, 1 block, 0 turnovers, 9 for 13 from the field, 69% from the field. Nice. 4 for 5 from 3, 5 for 5 from the free throw line. That's an absurdly efficient game, dude. And he's just letting the game come to him every night now. When he needs to do it, he's doing it. And like Jaylen, like in years previous, it felt like it wasn't by design. It was like, wow, Jaylen seems to be the guy that goes off in the first quarter, and sometimes we want a little bit more from Tatum. But now it's like, this is who we are. This is like part of the identity of the team is like fire and ice. Like the Jaylen Jason thing. It's like Jaylen just comes out scorching, enforces his physicality on the game on both ends lately as well. And then Tatum's just kind of like sitting back, dissecting the game, trying to figure out kind of what's going on. And the way that everybody's playing right now, I think 3 of the threes that he made today were catch and shoot threes. What's awesome about Tatum is that he's an elite catch and shoot guy. So like he's really good off the ball. And so he can have a role player-y type game, but because he's a superstar, his role player-y game is 27 points on 13 shots. Like, and he's clearly playing with the most physicality that he's ever played with. Like, there's obviously the post aspect where he's just bullying anyone pretty much. And then the way that he's driving and attacking, he's really playing through contact better than I think he ever has before, which is something that we've really wanted him to do for years now. But he definitely feels like he's taken that. He's leveled up. He's absolutely been playing the best basketball of his life for 25 games now. But like, he's not going to get the national recognition because he's really playing team basketball. Like, he's just not like, I watched the Sixers Mavs game this morning with Luka, and I came up with a little propaganda of my own today. And Luka Doncic has shot 25 or more field goal attempts 26 times this season. Jason Tatum has done that 5 times.
Wow.
That's nuts.
It's insane. It's insane. Like, he just doesn't he's not a high volume usage guy right now. He's playing in the context of this team and loving it, and it's like exactly what they should be doing.
Yeah, and I think I tweeted this a little while ago. It's like the final like level for superstardom is where you can just like feel out the game and then just say like, okay, now here's the moment where I kind of need to take over and do my thing. And he's been doing that since like January 1st, essentially. And it's so difficult. Very, very few guys get there. And his stats don't look much different from last year. But if you're watching the games, the way he's approaching it and getting into it and getting those numbers is different. And it's more conducive to winning. It's pure team basketball. This is by far the best he's ever played. And like, it's kind of a level that you just can't, no matter how much talent and potential Tatum shows in his first few years, it's just such a small percentage of guys who get to this level that you can never bank on it happening. And it's happening. Like this dude is just so good now. And like at one point, Joe was like, oh, you guys are doubling him when he's got the ball? Okay, now I'm just going to run high pick and roll with him as the point guard for like 10 straight possessions. And then everybody else just got into it because he would just like take the double, dump it off, playing 4-on-3, and that's easy basketball. So it's been incredibly fun to watch JT sort of like level up. But I have a question I want to pose to you guys. All right, we're talking about how fun it is with Tatum. Is this more, are you guys having more fun than that IT season? Because that was, I think that season, pure like just enjoyment of watching night in, night out was even more fun than the 08 team, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a good question for the chat as well, folks. Let us know what you think. What do you reckon, Jake?
I'm getting there now, like, because I agree, like that at IT year was like the most fun I've had. Like that rookie Tatum year as well was there as well. Yeah. And I wasn't really there yet with this team. I think a lot of that has to do with the expectations. Like a lot of this season has felt, a lot of it feels like relief at times because you're supposed to win every game basically. But this last stretch, like this stretch right now where they're playing at this level, like this is insane. Like where you're just going scorched earth every single night. No one has a chance. And like these teams, like this hot team comes to town, the Mavs, whatever, and then they just get blown off the court within a span of 5 minutes or whatever. Like, right, I think I can't quite get there yet, but like this last kind of 11-game winning streak, and you are absolutely right, Spinny. This is what we wanted to see. I was like, can we see 1, 10, 15-game winning streak, something like that, to be like, okay, yeah, we still got it, and then we can kind of ramp down whatever rest guys going into the playoffs. Like, we're seeing it, and I'm having a good time. Let's just say that much.
Yeah, it's hard to put a finger on like what's more fun, like Rocky or like the Emperor on the throne being like fanned and like fed grapes. Like both are enjoyable. Like the underdog story, like always exceeding expectations, very low expectations. That's a lot of fun and maybe like more galvanizing for a fan base. But I think at least with the people that I interact with online, like we're all still here. Like that was recent enough that was like an online cohort of fans. And part of why this stretch is so meaningful is because we were all there for that and we're still hangers on at this point. And so like the IT years almost enhance these times and they feel connected in a sense and make these times more enjoyable because we came from there. So I think at like a core level, the IT years were more enjoyable because of the disparity with expectations and results. Now, obviously, we expect nothing less than a chip and like almost a stroll to the chip. But when they're playing this well and like entering zero doubts into their minds as they are currently, that's also, I said hedonistic before, which it is. It's an embarrassment of riches, but it's so fun when it just works and there aren't those letdowns of expectations. I'm sure they'll come at some point, at least at one point in the remaining regular season and certainly in the playoffs as well. But like, this is pretty fucking fun. So I don't know if that's a solid answer to your question. They're both good in very different ways.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely, dude. I think the IT season, one, like the Celtics were kind of in a rocky spot when IT came back. We had that terrible year, and then we drafted Marcus Smart, and then we were like plucky underdogs when we traded for him and got beat by the Cavs, who were the 2 seed, and we were the 7. And then they just like took off and were way better than we ever expected. It's really hard to like duplicate like that moment in time. Like just we just were kind of not, we had the Nets picks coming in and things like that, but we just never thought like, oh, we're going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals this year. And I think you guys said it, like exceeding expectations is like one of what I imagine some harder drugs probably feel like when you exceed those expectations. So, but this is like, dude, the way they're like, this team is exceeding expectations with how incredibly hard they're kicking the shit out of everyone.
Good point.
It's a good point. Like the over under coming into the season was set at 58.5. I'm pretty sure, like the high end. Yeah. They're like exceeding that by 6-7 wins is pretty nuts, dude. Like, especially when you get to that high end, it's hard to like. You're already winning 70+% of your games to get to that level to get to where they're getting right now. They're winning 80% of their games, which is just so many. This comment here though, still want to see on the 5th against Jokic, right? Like, I mean, that's the only team right now to me. The only team that
Zach in the chat getting to that as well. And we'll get to that in a second because it kind of feels like that's kind of like the last hurdle to jump over. But before we move on and kind of wrap up with the Nuggets game and the Cavs game as well, which is coming up next, let's get to missed points from this one before we wrap up. So Greeny had this tweet after the game with regards to this like final boss stretch of regular season games. So game 1 versus the Knicks, +14, win. Game 2 versus Philly, +18, win. Game 3 versus Dallas, +28, win. Game 4 versus Golden State Warriors, +52, win. 4 for 4 in this stretch where after the Bulls game, we did the pod. We're like, that's great. We beat the Bulls. Now shit gets crazy. And we looked at this stretch. I think we looked at the 5-game stretch, including the Cavs next day. And let's envelop the Nuggets in that as well. And we thought, we might drop a couple of these games, maybe half of these games. 4 for 4 so far, guys. Feels pretty good. But any other missed points from this game before we move on to the upcoming schedule and wrap this one up?
I just think it's really important to note that they did this without Porzingis. And obviously we need Porzingis to be the team that they have been over this stretch, but to do this without Porzingis, I think's like a big deal. I've said it a bunch of times this year. Like, I think they can make the finals without Porzingis. And you see, like, and you bring in Tillman, like, that's, like, it's a different player, but it's, like, kind of like Porzingis insurance. But obviously, smart decision to rest tonight, even though I really wanted to see him against the Warriors. Quad contusion, I don't know, which is maybe another word for dong contusion.
Like, yeah, definitely, yeah.
So I understand taking the night off, KP. Draymond Green has been known to contus some dongs in the past with his feet, so probably for the best there.
He's got some scalps, dong scalps in his time.
Got to protect the future generation of Latvians.
I gotta head to the ER. I got a contused dong. that's
help
art,
me.
Baby. Yeah. I just real quick, one quick takeaway. How the hell is Al Horford still this friggin' good on defense, dude? It doesn't make any sense, but he's just like friggin' everywhere still. So shout out to Al. I love you, Al. So I just want you to know that. Yeah.
Sticking to a similar player dimensionally speaking, and gosh, do they look alike with the aerial view watching. But Xavier Tillman, he hit a 3 in this game, which is like, not essential, but definitely a nice to have, and especially as we start to envision, not that we're at a point where we want to go down this road, but the post-Al years and the potential of re-signing Xavier Tillman, that if he can hit threes, then that's an incredible prospect. I think that's it. Sam Hauser, he was good. Again, none of his numbers, but I just wrote Hauser was fucking awesome on my little note sheet here.
4 for 9 from 3, dude. Pretty good.
Not bad.
That'll
good
do.
Defense.
He's solid, man. Just doing the little things. Like, it's just like, it's tough to beat this team no matter what. But then when Pritchard and Hauser come out and do what they did as well, then it's just it's impossible. It's impossible if they're going to give you. I mean, obviously they played extended minutes tonight, but they combine for 12 for 21 or something, 7 for 14 from 3. Like, that's just not a tenable situation to be in if you're an opposing team with the rest of the talent on this roster.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we kept their starters. We're only down 5, and then Pritchard and Hauser come in and go like 4 or 6 from 3 in like 4 minutes. It's like, oh shit, this one's over. Pack it in.
Yeah. So good. Pritchard threw a sweet oop to Svi Mihalik at some point.
Did.
I thought he was going to reverse jam it.
Got up there.
Yeah, Svi's got hops, man. So that was a fun wrinkle. So the Cavs are currently down by 9 or 11 to the Jalen Brunson-less Knicks, and best wishes to Jalen Brunson. He left this game with a knee injury. It did say that he was questionable to return. Saw that. That's good. Fortunately, not as bad as maybe we initially thought. But the Cavs are losing to a very injury-hampered New York Knicks right now. We've got them next on the road. No Donovan Mitchell. Okay, it's a very good point. Incredibly good point, actually. He's probably the best player. Very important to note. But that kicks off our upcoming road trip, and I referred to it a moment ago as the final boss of the regular season. Cavs coming up, Nuggets, and then we've got the Suns in their arena and then back home in ours shortly afterwards. Of those games, I won't even ask the question. Obviously, the Nuggets game feels like the one remaining important game of the season. You could argue the Cavs, they're not nipping at our heels though. They're second in the East, but they're like way, way, way down below us. So it doesn't feel like that's as important. Whereas as far as like what else can this Celtics team prove in the remainder of this regular season, it's like beat the Nuggets and beat them like handily, right?
Oh, you just beat them. If they could somehow pull out a win against Denver, like that would be awesome. It almost feels like if you're going to beat Denver, you kind of have to win by double digits. Just because, like, if you get down to it in the clutch, Jokic is ridiculous. He's insane. Yep. So, yeah, that's definitely the game. They could lose the Cavs game, I guess. I'm not sure I see it happening at this point.
Probably won't. Yeah.
Right, it probably won't. They won't be. They will be heavily favored going into that one. But the Nuggets game, I mean, that's the biggest game left on the schedule. There's one more game against the Bucks and the Thunder after that, but those are the 3 games left. But in this stretch, like those games later in the month are going to be like, do you even want to put guys out there against Giannis? He's going to like run into dudes and like get injured. Like at that point, you're 3 weeks from the playoffs. But yeah, man, this Jokic game, I'm going to get ready for that one.
Yeah, that's a big one. I like if KP plays against the Cavs, I think he's just so deadly against how they try to play defense that I think that'll be a pretty easy win if KP plays. And then if not, we're still, I think, pretty considerably the better team. Although Donovan Mitchell hates us and he's terrifying.
He's good.
So, yeah, man.
Very good.
But yeah, this Nuggets game, man, I just like Denver's so weird because the altitude too, and we're going to be, in the middle, like, it'll be our second game of a road, short road trip. And so I don't know, how much can you take away from it? Like, am I going to be concerned that we can't beat them in the finals if we lose this game? No, but man, I would feel a whole hell of a lot better if we do win. So they have some absurd net rating in the clutch, but ours is pretty damn good too. I think we're like up in the top 3 now. So we're executing in the clutch as well. I'll be interested to see how we defend Jokic. Because we do. I wonder if Tillman will get a decent amount of minutes. He kind of okay matchup for him.
Yeah, I think he will. The Denver Cup is very important to me, guys, and I hope we win. And also, this game was clearly very important to our guys, and they came out with a lot of juice. And I think that's why this Nuggets game is so important as well. It's the one remaining game, and maybe the Bucks game as well, given how the last Bucks matchup went, that our guys are going to come out being like, we really fucking want to beat these guys. And despite the altitude and the other variables, it's one of the last remaining games where I feel like in the regular season they'll come out with that panache, for lack of a better term, the juice.
There we go.
So I'm expecting it. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to be live on playback.tv/Celtics blog for all these games. We're going to have post-game streams, live podcasts on the channel. So make sure you subscribe to this channel, like the video, so that you are notified proactively of all the activity on this channel. Thank you for joining us, guys. I think we'll wrap it up there. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We'll be back live on this channel in another day or two, chopping it up after the Cavs game with another live podcast. We've also just released the 7th installment of our Underrated Plays series, so go check out that video when you're done here, and please like that video as well.
It's really good. Watch it.
Yeah, put it in front of more people by liking that video and commenting and engaging, and just watch it because, we put a lot of time and effort into it, and we love making that kind of contact, so we appreciate it when you guys watch it and enjoy it as well. That's a wrap for Celtics Late Night. Spoonie, Jake, love your work, guys. Until next time, go Celtics.